Hello Mouses, this is going to be a very short film today because I've just got back from the mortgage advisor. We did a very long film yesterday and I really don't want to be doing massive amounts of video footage every day because who's got the time to watch it for a start? So today, now that I've got back, I'm taking the day off from my writing work and I'm going to be dealing with comics. I'm going to be filming a bit of the comic drawing process just so you can get an idea of how I produce everything and we'll see how that goes. So look forward to that. Okay, we have here the basic sketch that I'm going to be working from for today's comic. It's a fairly simple one because it's basically just a quick joke as a filler buffer type thing. I've sketched it out on the computer itself, which is different to how I normally work. Most of the time I'll draw straight onto a piece of printed paper with frames on and then scan that in and ink it. But this is the basic inking process. I use a graphics tablet and pen to draw on the screen. What we'll do is we'll just make a series of lines, very thick lines for the start, and then we'll go from there. The reason we zoom in so far is because this way you can get a very smooth looking line, despite the fact that your hand will inevitably wobble around. I'm using a very thick ink here because that way this will stand out from the background. Any background detail that I draw in will not be inked in quite as thick a pen, and that way it draws attention to the foreground. Okay, now that I've got all of the comic inked out, I'm loading up what I call a swatch. It's my file full of the right colours that I use for the comic. The idea here being that if I have all the colours in one area, then I can keep them all right. You may have noticed there that I've just basically used a bucket fill to colour this in very quickly. And the reason for that is, over here, I have created a copy of the inking layer and called it background. That actually contains all of the inks and it allows me to colour very quickly. I can get through an entire comic very quickly when I'm colouring, and that means I can get out a comic a day. Now I need to copy the inking layer again. I'm calling this layer colour, and this will go above the background but underneath the ink. And the reason for that is I don't want to lose the definition on the inks, but I do want to be able to colour in my characters the same way that I've just coloured the background. Okay, now that we've got all of the colouring done, I've reduced the opacity on the colour and background layers, and I've added in a little bit of cross-hatching. It adds an extra layer of what would otherwise have to be shading, and that means that we don't have to spend hours and hours shading. Okay, now that all of the speech bubbles are in, I've reduced the size of the picture until we get to 900 pixels wide because that's the size of the website. Now we're going to save it as a PNG file because that's what we use on the website, and that's it. Once it's uploaded, it'll turn up on the website and all's done and dusted. And that, in a nutshell, is the comic creation process for webcomics. Hope you enjoyed it.